right.
What? All meetings ordered. Right, so, do we have anybody here for public comment?
Nobody online?
Okay. Then we will move on to reviewing the July 17th meeting minutes. Let's see, was it everybody here for that meeting? You and I were. Lisa and I.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. What? Fair amount.
Too much.
All right. Does anybody have any objections to anything or changes?
Motion to approve.
Yeah. Nothing to approve. Any
Second.
second, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay. Minutes are approved. Great. So. Where are we with, yes. Reviewing the 2025 comprehensive plan draft housing chapter.
So. Did you all get a chance to kind of read through this?
No, but I'm terribly careful.
Sorry. So I thought that, all right. So near the top, you'll see this vision and top 3 actions for Williston to take. And then it says, planning commission writes this last after developing other components of the chapter. And so I thought that I would have this group do an exercise to try to prioritize actions and strategies. And to do that, let's see, so the actions and strategies are right at the end of the chapter. And okay. Yeah, there's a couple of different goals, and then basically I took this second goal, which is diversity of people can find homes in Williston that are affordable, safe, healthy, and energy efficient. And the Mentimeter exercise that I'm going to have you do, assuming you've got a device, sort of breaks down that goal into objectives, has you prioritize the objectives, and then takes each objective and has you prioritize the strategies to reach that objective. So let's see. Put this in presenter mode. There we go. So if you can either use the QR code to get to this Mentimeter survey, or just go to www.menti.com and enter this code.
Are they long? Is it a lot of reading or a little bit?
It should work well on a phone, I think.
All right.
Yeah. I tested it on a phone, and it actually looks better on a phone than it does on my computer.
That's a surprise.
Yeah. And then once everybody is there, everybody, okay. So this is obviously dealing with the housing chapter of the comprehensive plan. And just as a little introduction, so one of the things the comprehensive plan is it serves as a to-do list for the next 8 years. which is the duration of the plan. Before it needs to be adopted again, before a new one needs to be adopted. And so the goal of the exercise is to try and reach consensus on identifying top priorities for actions the town should take to address its housing challenges during, and to take these actions during the next 8 years. And also some of them will go beyond the town plan. So you've reviewed the smart growth, the homes and smart growth chapter. And then I'm gonna have you proceed through a series of slides that drill down from goals to objectives to strategies to actions. And I've already told you this, so. And then this just kind of shows you, this is a graphic that kind of breaks down, like, what is a goal, what is an objective, what's a strategy, what's an action, and you know, the big sort of the big why is the mission, the value statement. That's like the overarching statement. And that's usually written last after you've, like, you know, usually the way these things work is you've got all these ideas, you come up with these ideas, and then you're like, well, what is this idea actually? Is it an action? Is it a goal? Is it a strategy? Is it, you know, what is it? So this kind of just helps you frame that. And so a goal is really big picture, it's aspirational. What are we trying to achieve here? An objective is a little bit more specific, it's a measurable target that defines the success for the goal. A strategy is, it's a clear statement that's designed to meet an objective. It's like how are we gonna do this? And then actions are even more broken out as to how you're gonna work on this particular strategy. So given that, the goal that we're gonna be looking at is a diversity of people with different needs and backgrounds. Basically, I've shortened up the goal a little bit. Instead of listing all of the protected classes, just kind of assume that they're included here. Can find homes in Williston that are affordable, safe, healthy, and energy efficient. First of all, do you agree with the goal? So if you go ahead and just,
Quick question is, are we doing this as the housing committee, which is focused on sort of 80% and less? Are we, I mean, this goes to the select board and they're writing it for the whole town, right?
right,
Well, but
so,
we're supposed to be very focused on like
well, I mean, I think yes and no, I mean. You are, but I think your mission is more broad than that. So I think, you know, while your focus is like the very low income, low and very low income, I think that you can consider yourself like sort of encompassing a more broad goal, I would say. So yeah, I mean, just think of it from the lens of not just that low and very low income, but just sort of housing in general.
I said submit. No, I'm still here. Yeah. You do a thumbs up?
There are technical difficulties.
Yeah, she's
can't
back,
go to the
she's
next
back a little
page.
bit.
Huh.
Yeah, okay.
Where is that?
Oh, do you want me to read?
And then basically, you know, and then this would be, you know, if you don't agree with the goal, how would you change it? Just kind of not gonna assume that everybody agrees with the goal, so. NA,
Yeah.
So we're gonna go through all the questions and they're gonna show us.
yeah,
what the-
it'll be interactive, like you'll see it, you'll see the answers right away. So,
Got it,
ready to move on?
all right.
Okay. I just skipped it.
Mhm.
Okay, now, now you're gonna prioritize the objectives that will further this goal. So one is, support the creation of a diversity of housing types, including dwellings that are affordable for a range of Williston residents and its workforce. 2, address equity in housing. 3, preserve existing housing and mitigate the negative impacts of short-term rental housing on residential neighborhoods. And 4, mitigate the impacts of increasing property taxes to reduce the burdens on property owners. So basically just kind of think of those, and think about like what's the first thing we have to focus on? And, kind of with the understanding that these are described a little bit more fully in the chapter. But basically those are 4 objectives to try to meet this overall goal. Okay, everybody. All right, so seems like the top priority is supporting the creation of a diversity of housing types, including dwellings that are affordable for a wide range of Williston residents and its workforce. And then secondly, preserve existing housing, mitigate the negative impacts of short-term rental housing. 3rd, address equity in housing. And 4th, mitigate the impacts of increasing property taxes. Anybody have any thoughts about that? Should I move on?
I mean, for me, the third one. Kind of, if you address that, you address the equity issue as well. If you have a creation of diversity.
Yeah, I mean, it's, well, you'll see when we move on, like how those are broken out.
Yeah.
And, okay, so this one has the smallest writing. So the first objective, support the creation of a diversity of housing types.
Mhm.
And then you have 6 strategies.
Where do these strategies come from? Is this Williston thinking or something that's sort of more broadly?
Is it what?
Where did these options come from? These
Um,
strategies?
From my head, from Darren. Shipping's head,
Okay,
from-
okay, right. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so basically just put those in order of what you think should be the top priority and so forth. Okay.
And some of these things I feel like I don't really know, like adaptive reuse, we
Yeah.
haven't really talked about.
Mhm.
I mean, just sort of my gut at looking at commercial buildings, it's not like we're Brattleboro and we have a bunch of old commercial buildings or something, but
Yeah,
I don't know really.
I
Yeah.
think what comes to my mind is the hotels.
Mm.
We have a lot of those. We have a lot of them. So like the old-
Steakhouses and hotels. You know, only come out.
Well,
Mhm.
especially like the Sonesta, which,
Mm.
you know, CHT has been. Asking questions about for a number of years, but you know, it's hasn't.
We heard from CHT that it's really hard to reuse office buildings.
Office buildings.
Because there's not any plumbing,
Uh,
and then you have nowhere to go under to put in the plumbing.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of those
It's very
might have
costly.
different fire safety rules when they're built compared to a residential house.
yeah,
My issue kind of with industrial though is, it really depends on the area, because some of those areas. You really can't ever clean up all pollution, you can seal it, it depends, and I've noticed just things that I've been reading about, whether it's houses built on old orchards or old industrial sites, people tend to find just problems down the line, you think you cleaned it up, but. The reality is it's still there and it makes its way back to the surface, those type of things.
yeah,
And I know the city of Burlington, when they, oh gosh, it was the old coal fire plant. They basically just left that as a field, and I think that was probably the right thing to do,
mhm.
just seal it up. and
Yeah,
Enjoy it.
Yeah, this is interesting. I think.
what surprised you?
Would you put it in a different order?
Did you do it?
No, I didn't actually, no, it's not, I think it's about. The order that it seems sensible, yeah. All right. Go to the next one.
Okay. Oh, I don't think I have submitted the last one.
What, huh?
I don't think I
Oh, do
submitted
you want me to go back?
No,
Go back.
okay. Just submitted.
Go ahead.
I didn't submit.
Yeah.
It might be because you passed it.
No, I went back.
No, I'm sure we've
Yeah.
done, so it says, yeah.
Doesn't seem to be very user friendly.
Well, I should have been paying attention.
All right,
Right.
yeah, it says, how many people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it says 5 people voted.
Okay.
Okay, well, hold on,
Well, there's one thumbs up and 4 people.
yeah, what's
What
the,
does that mean?
Thumbs
Oh,
up.
I might have done that because it said you already responded to this
Oh,
question,
okay.
so I was like,
oh, I
Oh,
see,
yeah, I just
now
did it.
there's 2
I was
thumbs
told
up.
I
Yeah.
was, it was
All
just
right,
poking.
yeah. Okay, well,
Yeah, so I guess only 4 people do respond.
You don't seem to have made a choice.
oh, so then you gotta go back and.
Mm, um,
The question about growth management is interesting to me, because of course. I live growth management at the DRB,
Yeah,
but I always go back to, I mean, there's really only 2 big plots of land, am I right?
There you go.
That we can go through,
um,
2 or 3, I mean, I always go back to your map of,
right, yeah,
about what's really left to be developed, anyway. It sounds like we're,
there's, few,
yeah,
okay, so addressing equity in housing.
No, it wasn't me.
You know, what's that?
No, I'm just waiting.
Oh,
You're not seeing,
I hear it comes stuff. It's just the internet in Williston.
oh, is that?
I just love this high polling.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, isn't it? Are you still working on it?
No, but it's spinning, so
Oh,
it should be coming through.
yeah. Are you on our Wi-Fi?
No, probably not.
Password are
All
there.
right,
Oh, there we go, okay,
okay.
great. So yeah, so it seems like investing and keeping people in their homes is a big priority. And then the down payment assistance. Just cause evictions. Control and provide robust services for those people. Right. So then. There's only a couple under the next two, so preserve existing housing and mitigate the negative impacts of short-term rental housing on residential neighborhoods.
I guess I should just. The Williston guest.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's right on
And
the
it's,
yellow sheet.
the passwords up
Okay.
there. Wireless with $2 at the end. Yes. So far, it's evenly split. It's a problem, I just have two.
Yeah.
well, there too, I feel like I don't really understand how many Airbnbs we have in town, I guess.
Yeah.
There's not that many, well, I mean, when compared with some of the towns in southern Vermont, especially in
Mhm.
some of the tourist destinations, I think the last I looked, there was like around 18 or so that weren't Sonesta, because Sonesta also lists in,
No,
Airbnb,
Airbnb.
and there's like a whole bunch of those suites, but.
No, it's just not coming up.
Well, I'm looking at the same thing as you. So,
Yeah, but I didn't do this when you,
oh,
unless I did it while I was joining the network.
No,
Mm,
Huh.
mm,
all right,
mm,
shall we move on?
Yeah.
And then. Mitigate the impacts of increasing property taxes to reduce burdens on property owners.
I've read something that worked on Austin with, you know, a housing first kind of, approach was I think they put up like $1 million, I think kind of like Airbnb, you know, if you have
Uh-huh.
damage, if you're a renter, there was
Yeah,
some kind of $1 million guarantee. So I don't know, I think Boston did it as well, saying, you know, if you convert your housing to Section 8 or whatever it's called now, well, that there was this fund that if you had damage, and
Uh-huh.
apparently no one's ever touched it, but it's like psychologically very impactful for landlords.
yeah.
Mm.
Huh. Mhm. Good. Okay, so seems like that one, the first priority is establishing property tax exemption for affordable rental housing. Managed and operated by housing nonprofit organization. It actually surprised me that CHT pays taxes. Yeah, they pay property taxes. Well, I mean, I did know that, but it's surprising.
But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And then, so basically it took a strategy, there's a strategy that the housing committee will explore additional programs and implement programs that are feasible and align with the town's goals. And underneath those are actions, so this is really about your work and prioritizing, the things that you want to do, or you think will be effective, I guess. So I see two people who voted. Now, if you can- Cool. Great. What's the thumbs up? Or
I
something?
think right here, when you press that, when you're waiting,
Well, yeah, but I mean,
that's
Okay.
what they say, I just got one.
but,
It doesn't change the count, it just like,
you're saying, I love this.
yeah, like giving the speaker
Great.
love.
it's fun.
Yeah. So were you able to?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so who didn't vote?
I voted.
I voted.
Oh. Okay.
I know mine, I thought it went through, but
Um,
it's, no, it says it's, we're waiting for the next slide.
oh, yeah, that means it went through.
And
Okay, so. Seems. Collaborating with nonprofits who are best positioned to provide deep affordability. Coordinating with, oh, somebody voted.
Yeah, there it is.
Coordinate with CCRPC's housing navigator work. To evaluate land in Williston for potential support affordable housing. And then foster partnerships with for-profit developers, support their grant applications, bring specific housing projects to completion. Promote the Homes for All toolkit by using ACDC training and outreach resources to host a symposium. Introduce builders, developers to the toolkit. And then last, publish an ADU toolkit with resources to assist homeowners through the planning and permitting process of developing an ADU. Okay. And then finally, is there anything missing?
Did it mention anything like rent controls?
There was rent controls.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember. That went pretty fast.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then. I guess as far as, is there anything else to add? Think also of your, specifically the work that you're doing, and think of stuff that you might wanna do that wasn't on the list.
Yeah.
If there was anything.
Oh, we did talk at one time about, once we decide on what the housing trust fund possibilities were, to put that, get that out to the public and send them.
Yeah, that would, I would, put under the. There was something in there, not necessarily on the last slide, but, implementing the housing trust fund.
Right, ordinance, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, shall I move on?
I put one in there,
Okay.
the outreach to landowners who can subdivide lots.
Collaborate with big box stores.
That was
And-
mine.
Yeah, so. Can you,
Expand on that.
expand on that a little bit?
Sure. I read an article not that long ago, about how the Essex Experience, you know, the big development that used to be the outlet mall,
Oh, yeah.
they specifically built out workforce housing, the developers of that plaza, as part of like their plan to kind of revamp the whole business, you know, there. So kind of, I know that the stores that exist in Williston are kind of already there, and I know that one of the big things that we have talked about is how few people who work in Williston can afford to live here. So, you know, maybe just encouraging, I don't know how those, you know, kind of conversations would look or with who, but maybe just trying to get them more involved to have that, kind of be part of the conversation, bring them to the table and their power, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good one. I did read that article. Actually, I just read it today. Somebody passed it along about the Essex Experience.
Yeah. I saw
Sounded
that
really
too.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good idea.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean-
I'm just building on it, like Beta and On Logic.
yeah.
They're both in South Burlington, but they've
Mhm.
both been very open about workforce housing issues. So.
Yeah, I think, just sort of in general, there's an opportunity to collaborate with, businesses, large employers
Mhm.
to, you know, I don't know, at least have a
Have a
conversation.
conversation, yeah, I met with Austin Davis, the government affairs rep for the Lake Champlain Chamber of Commerce, and he brought this up to me that companies are really interested in this concept. So that they can at least, even if it's a rental unit for a year, they know they can offer someone a job and offer them housing, so. I think we might see a lot of support for that.
Yeah. Right. And then, yeah, outreach to landowners.
And then they have
There's landowners can get in, habitat, yeah.
I was channeling that, Charlie.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true. We gotta have a habitat thing.
Charlie was back at us.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've reached the end of the presentation. That's great, So what I can do is I can share out the results. And I'll also share it with the planning commission. I think, I think we're gonna use this sort of same exercise, maybe if my fellow planners agree. On the planning commission to work through some of the other chapters and prioritize. I don't know, what did you think of the exercise? Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, and I love the Mentimeter format.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I like, some of them I was a little bit like. We hadn't talked about them a lot, and so then I was like,
Right,
what exactly does this mean? So I would have maybe liked to have had time to
have
have
a
a
discussion,
little discussion about it, but.
yeah,
Because when I read through the strategies and stuff that worked through that, I kind of went, okay, what is this?
mhm.
And wondered if. Come up with new.
Well, the
Yeah.
one takeaway, if keeping people in their homes was a top priority of this group, then maybe when we talk about dispersing the funds, that would reflect in there.
Yeah. Um. So I guess. If you maybe take another read through the, the to-do list, the objectives and strategies, and if there are any questions. About any of them that come up, maybe, send me your questions. I'll try to explain. Anyway. But was there anything, I don't know, any other thing that you think should be? Besides the ideas, on the last slide, is there anything that you think should be added to this chapter or, changed?
When we talk about reducing tax burdens, have we? Do we specifically talk about strategies for, retirees, maybe, people are no longer working and where, you have situations where property taxes can really hurt a fixed income person. Think of maybe ways to kind of mitigate that on people that keep them in their homes.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, that's kind of
The
what
homestead,
we had in mind. What's that?
the homestead tax thing.
Definitely, yeah,
Yeah,
we have income sensitivity.
Right.
So,
So I think, I mean, part of it is that income sensitivity, and making sure that people are doing what they need to get that. I think the town assessors do try to remind people on a pretty regular basis to get your homestead declaration in and stuff like that, but, maybe.
We got ours in late, so, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Florida has an interesting thing. They put it in the state constitution. It was titled Safer Homes, which may be a bit strong, but what it did was it actually, in essence, stopped the increase in property taxes for elderly retirees. I don't think that's the way to go here, because I think it actually, by stopping it at a certain level, it really does hit the cities, municipalities, and everything else down the road. But it's one of those ideas to. Anything you can do to keep people on fixed incomes and homes is good, but.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Would that be a possible thing for this energy committee as well, and them wanting to encourage heat pumps? So rather than focus on just on new building and really adding the cost there, encouraging people to be, if they replace something with a heat pump, if they replace some 10-year-old thing with a heat pump, could there be some kind of repayment there? That's the carrot approach as opposed to
Right, yeah.
the stick.
I mean, in the last energy committee meeting, they talked a great deal about, about the carrot versus stick approach and, I mean, it was mentioned that like the rebates that are out there, if Vermont, if Green Mountain Power and Efficiency Vermont are setting the rebates at the right price or cost or whatever, then people will switch over, really will be and it will work as an incentive to get people to switch over, so, you know, and then there is, of course, all the IRA money that is kind of the new, will add to that, to those rebates. So, and the Energy Committee, of course, does, like, you know, they do, you know, try to do outreach to folks to, you know, get them to just show them the benefits and costs and all that stuff.
So are those incentives not available for new construction? Is that why they wanted you to stick for construction?
I think. I think if, I don't think they are available for new construction. I mean, they are, but. There's, yeah, what am I saying? They are available, right, through Efficiency Vermont and Green Mountain Power and, I wonder if they're available at scale, like, I know that, I mean, Efficiency Vermont will work with, some developers to like really, lower the cost of building with, you know, doing green building. So yeah, I think there are still incentives, definitely, but I think,
They
Yeah.
must not really feel like they work, or they wouldn't be proposing
yeah,
such a big stick, right?
yeah,
Yeah, maybe I'm getting us off
Yeah,
topic,
there's
sorry.
also a lot of constructions costs have gone up so much that they're
Mhm.
leery of anything that would cost more.
right, and that's like what I want to get a better handle on as the Energy Committee. Kind of does more research into the clean heat standard. I want to get a handle on, how much will it increase costs and use, we'll see, talk to developers. Get that idea. So, anyway. Okay.
Well, next item on the agenda is the discuss and refine the FY 25 work plan.
Oops. So. If you'll remember. Last. I guess when you first started. The committee up last November. We went through this exercise of, kind of developing. A work plan for the. Next year and, usually. Kind of do that at the beginning of the fiscal year, so this is just kind of a. Put some things in here, as a starting point. So that's that July and August, that's where we're at right now. And then you've been working on the Housing Trust Fund and hope to, I think pretty much have wrapped that up. I mean, I added a little bit more to it, which I can show you. And I think after that, it just probably goes to the manager's office. And then, so assuming that the select board would adopt this housing trust fund policy, then you could be looking at kind of rolling it out, starting in like the fall, kind of figuring out what to focus on for next year. That's what that first bullet is in September through December. And then I'm gonna put together a report of affordable housing that the town's been monitoring. I've solicited information on rental rates for the and gotten information for sale prices of homes that we monitor, and I can, all I need to do is just put that together into a presentable format and present it to you. And then that will also go to the select board, and it's kind of a summary of where things are at. And then you spoke last time about possibly participating in the Shelburne Housing Committee.
They haven't had a meeting since we last talked. They skipped their meeting, their summer meeting, so. I think 2 weeks, she said she let me know, but yes, I am following up on that.
Yeah, and then I mentioned, hosting a film screening of, the film just went by. Which looks like we firmed up a location and a date, so it's gonna be October 6th and. And then what's that?
I'm out of town.
That's too bad. And then, kind of, making your recommendations for the ordinance. I keep doing research on that. So. What else does this committee wanna work on in the next, over the next year?
Not sharing the picture if you're looking.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, let me stop this. Sorry about that, Monica. Totally not sharing the right thing. Yeah. There we go. That's better.
Yeah.
I always go back to if we knew what lots, I mean, we, talked about, if we knew what lots can now be subdivided under the new rules. And we knew, just let people know, they might not know, they might be sitting on 2 acres and not realize it can subdivide or something like that. If they're on town water or whatever, so communicating, I think, with folks specifically that have lots, saying, hey, here's your options with your lots, and if you want to know more, come see us. I think that
That's
might
great.
be really good.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of changes.
Yeah, so we could be sitting,
It's like you're in town, sewer and water, you can have up to 5 units.
right. Okay, so I'd like to see some outreach, but that involves, knowing what specific homeowners have these potentially subdividable lots. That's data that comes from someone else, right?
Well, I mean, we can do some analysis, I can do a little bit of mapping, I think that. I know South Burlington has done some of that work, so we could certainly do that, of course. What is theoretically subdividable, may not in reality pan out because of other factors like constraints and the way the land is configured with respect to the access and so forth, so that like what I can do is kind of take a look at what are the lots that have the acreage to be able to do this, and I could even say like what are the lots that have the unconstrained acreage to be able to, I mean, as far as like amount of wetlands on their property. Well, and of course that is really rough because the information you have on wetlands is not very good. The wetland maps from the state are just pretty outdated and usually not accurate, but anyway, we can at least get at acreage, and use that as a starting point. Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that and ADUs, right? If they have space for an ADU.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which it's pretty broad, right? any house can have an ADU, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean,
Well, and they can be like attached or detached, or
Right.
above ground, the third floor or the basement or the.
yeah, I mean, what about getting back to that idea of, developing the ADU toolkit and
Mhm.
a guide that people could use and,
Mhm.
that might be just a way without like trying to figure out what parcels are, can accommodate an ADU, just be able to do outreach that kind of, would support that.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, there are 2 or 3 towns that have done great jobs,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so tweaking it, so there's tweaking that. I mean, I think there's a communication thing too. I think some people are just completely oblivious.
no idea.
But you could, I mean, if we had an update when we could almost send them a postcard, like, did you know?
Yeah.
Right, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and if you, and click this if you want to understand more.
yeah.
Or even something and then all the same, I don't know, just a
Mhm,
Yeah,
info story.
yeah,
mhm.
um,
Front porch forum could be, you can generate a lot of.
Yeah,
I could also come up with numbers of like how many AUs have been permitted in the last, like, during the last 10 years or whatever, just so you have a sense. Somebody just came in today, wanting a permit for an AU, so, and I hear about it every once in a while, so I think there are like a handful every year that get permitted.
mhm.
And some towns have done surveys of ADU owners to ask them, how easy was it, what would have made it easier? How was the process with the town? Like, what are some of the reasons why you decided to build an ADU and,
I'd be interested in seeing the difference between people who are on town water and sewer.
Yeah.
Or people like me, that I guess that was what was come off in mind.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well, absolutely, yeah. It's like the sewer piece is, that's like the hardest part, I think.
Yeah. Septic and well,
Yeah.
well, and that's something that we could take to our representatives and, the state. and say,
Yeah.
Can you help
Yeah,
with this?
right, because the state wastewater rules are
Yeah.
somewhat.
Yeah.
Homework, say the least.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of updating, taking another town's ADU guide and updating it, I feel like most of that's gonna fall on you. Because it's like, what exactly are the Williston rules?
Yeah,
And we could rewrite the intro. I mean, I'd be happy to go through and like change everything to Williston and and maybe propose something there, but the actual digging into the.
well, it's not that hard, actually. I mean, we have pretty specific rules about AUs and requirements. It would be pretty easy for me to kind of put it together.
Mhm.
And then, if you all or some volunteers want to volunteer to make it look pretty and make it look, make it cohesive.
Williston, put Williston pictures in it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to look at, like, I know what we're talking about, south of here that they had a really good one, but anyway, there's
Oh,
two.
yeah, Addison County.
The Addison, the
Yeah.
Addison County one is, I've heard is good. I know Richmond had like some nice videos,
Yeah, right, Heinsberg.
or maybe it was Heinsberg, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, I can do a kind of a first pass of what I think it would take.
mhm. And then eventually, we're supposed to get some housing data from CCRPC, but I don't know, I don't have a time frame for that, so when we do, we can, there'll be more information.
Are we gonna get that, the women from CHC come back.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so. One issue is that they now meet, their board meets on the first Wednesday of the month, so it's- that was why the July meeting would have been great, because that's when we switched to the middle of the month. I suppose it's not impossible to switch another meeting to the middle of the month, and try to get her back. Um,
Well, our top priority was cooperating with.
Yeah.
Which is either Habitat or them, so I think, I mean, I'd be willing to meet another day.
Yeah. me too.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can reconnect with her and see if we can't figure something, just figure out another time, reschedule.
I feel like both of those organizations, I mean, you know better than me, but are growing pretty quickly and have pretty big plans for the next couple of years. So to even get in their queue, are you out? Well, I guess you can't speak for the housing trust, we have to ask them, but they have big plans and they're building
They do.
at higher capacity than they ever have. So,
Yeah, they are, we are as well, and then, you know, part of our partnership with them is when we finish building a home. As when it eventually goes to the client, is what happens is that we. Sell the home to CHT, who then sells it to the client, who then holds on to the mortgages, so. Which is really helpful for us, because we do have some legacy mortgages that we manage, but it's
right,
nice to get it in that. And they're just. Really set to manage these things in perpetuity, which is nice.
so getting in the queue for both of your organizations are it's probably gonna put us out a little bit, right?
Well, it depends on, you know, we have, like, in our case, we have over 60 houses in our pipeline. Units. Can be put up in a priority if something came on. If an opportunity came up sooner, say you saw a piece of land came up in Williston and it looked great and we could get it, I mean, that could be. Prioritized and we can move forward with it, so we have some flexibility there.
Right, okay.
Mhm. Cool.
Good to know.
Okay, are we ready to? Go back to the housing trust fund policy then? Or do we need to talk about the work plan anymore?
Okay, so I incorporated your suggestions, from last time. And, I added some things, all right. Oh, yeah, okay, so. Oh. So the last one, I think, the last version I showed you, it said something that had some idea about shared equity. I turned it into something a little bit broader. I can make this big because. So, there we go. So just sort of more broadly, because I got this idea when looking at Burlington's Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And innovative programs, initiatives or projects that preserve existing affordable homes that otherwise fall outside the scope of the programs described above. And some examples would be Champlain Housing Trust's acquisition of one or more existing homes into a shared equity program. Home Share Vermont program dedicating efforts to match homeowners in Williston with potential tenants. And then creation of an ADU pilot program to facilitate development of accessory apartments to serve low income and senior housing needs. And that, I mean, basically. The last one was sort of. Kind of what we were just talking about.
Mhm.
But like if somebody wanted to come in and do that, you know, and then, you know, if we wanted to pay somebody to kind of help us do that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So, yeah. And then. Yeah, and then the home share idea. I guess Burlington gave Home Share Vermont a grant, to basically have a dedicated staff person that was really, kind of matching homeowners with people who needed places to live. And so that seemed like a pretty nice idea, I thought. It was a way of keeping older people in their homes and, also finding places for people to live when you. And then I kind of fleshed out this whole thing. And most of it's sort of formulaic. And then I put in some criteria that are sort of random. I mean, but I'm definitely, if you have input about criteria, so this is just the housing retention program. There's 2 criteria. Evidence of need, urgency of funding. It's pretty basic. And then, this housing improvement program. Energy related repairs and improvements, improvements necessary to permit the occupancy of disabled persons. Repair, replacement of major building components, systems and danger failings in the next 5 years.
Is this one of the things that we're considering that we would fund?
What's that?
This is that's something we would be funding.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then. Basically, then there's some evaluation criteria, and I'm totally like open to critique and suggestions here.
What does due diligence mean in this context?
Have they done any design work? Have they gotten any estimates? Have they gotten permits?
Right. Yeah, I see this picture.
There is that state program.
Yeah. Oh, you mean that, yeah, the housing improvement program, yeah, the HIP. Right.
It's mostly aimed, I believe, at rental properties.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of getting down into the weeds, but whoops. One is, applicant leverages other funding so they could use the medium. Right. Yeah, I don't object to supplementing people's funding in that program.
Yeah, for VHIP, I think they have to provide some percentage of funding.
Yeah, and I like how you put in. Really to score if something's perpetually affordable and in the term of affordability, which I think is important.
Okay. And then, you know, I didn't get into any details on the terms really, because that's really gonna have to be determined on probably case by case basis. And then the feasibility study. Um. You know, and
So that at the time of the feasibility, they're already committing to the affordability of whatever it is they're building. Is that what's going on? Yeah. Or they can get points if they're saying that they're building it for affordability.
right,
Okay, but we're just putting money in for feasibility, right?
yeah.
So if they go forward with it, do they have to be affordable?
If, well, so I think that the deal with the feasibility. I'm confused.
Mhm.
I think it was,
That pays part of the feasibility, but not all of it.
The goal of feasibility is,
okay, so the town pays 2/3
Mhm.
up to 15,000. And then recipients have the option to make the home perpetually affordable. In which case, it's just a
Okay.
grant, or they pay back the funding upon sale or refinancing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if someone takes the feasibility money, then there's some rules around it.
Yeah. Um. Right. And then. Right, and then I guess I had a question, that's why I highlighted it. 67%, I mean. I don't know, it'd be. Something to just say 75%.
Yeah.
But again, we're sort of getting down to the weeds. And ultimately it'll be a select board decision, but. Yeah, well, 2/3 to 3/4. Well, what do you think? I don't, yeah.
The select board is.
Let them- Right. And then down payment assistance, I mean, the thing is. Something to consider, you might want to consider, opening it up to moderate income households. Only because. I'm just not sure that somebody at 80% of area median income could even afford to buy a home in today's market.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But.
Well, if we wanted to tackle equity, we could offer it to middle income folks if they're part of a traditionally.
Marginalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah. First time home buyers. Yeah, I mean, most of this I took right from Winooski's, housing trust fund. Program, well, they're not criteria, I guess. This is so basic that. It's like not worth, doing, I didn't think it was worth doing the scoring criteria or anything, pretty basic. But
Yeah, you could add that. The one about the marginal students, and they have the higher slightly higher income. Right. I'm surprised when Whiskey doesn't have that.
Yeah, I mean, another way of doing that, or sort of getting at that would be a first generation home buyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Um. And then. Yeah, okay, so this is. Criteria
Criteria for what now?
for, this is, construction and rehabilitation.
Rehabilitation, yeah.
So that's kind of your bigger projects,
Mhm.
which. We don't have the money for anyone right now, but.
Do we have higher income neighborhoods in town? I mean, I sort of feel like we're not that big of a town.
Yeah, I'd say we do, definitely.
So how many census block groups do we have?
I think we have like 3, so maybe that wouldn't work to use census block criteria, but we
Mhm.
could probably do it by neighborhoods, average neighborhood sales price or something instead. Um, However. Just thinking. It's probably not applicable here though, if you're talking about new construction. Yeah, it's all gonna be. Higher income neighborhoods,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
so I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah,
yeah, let's try.
probably get rid of that one.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah, probably just scrap that one. And then just yeah. Mm. And then I think, this last one was just the housing preservation initiatives. So that was about it.
Yeah, that's great.
A lot of detail. So
Yeah.
Good work.
Well done.
Right. Any other thoughts or feedback about that?
So, does the process would be. You got the review process under each thing, right? So, because would it be done? Would we be involved as a housing committee?
Yeah,
Making the decisions, yeah.
so it'd be like, applications would come to me. I'd meet with the person to make sure that everything was like in order and complete. And then, schedule them to come to a housing committee meeting. And for the housing committee to review their application. And then, And then make a recommendation and this is the part where
For all of
I'm
them, or
not-
just for under the
For all
housing
of them.
preservation?
for all.
Oh, no.
Not necessarily that all of these programs are gonna be launched, I mean, they won't, like. Well, what will most likely happen is, there will be a pot of money and then you can. Like recommend, hopefully if this gets adopted, you can recommend this fall. What of these programs do we wanna like launch and open up next year? And, so maybe like only a couple of them or, something 2 or 3.
Some
So,
related max probably as well, like
yeah,
we would do.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
And then, the thing that I don't know for sure yet is whether. The housing committee can make a recommendation and then the town manager can decide like whether it would have to go to the select board. And if it has to go to the select board, it could really slow the process.
Yeah,
down.
that'll be.
It's really public.
I bet they
Public
won't,
too,
I bet they
right?
won't wanna do it.
Yeah.
Either.
I mean, I
Well,
think
that's what I
that
was
the,
wondering, is it, do they need to come to even to the housing committee? Is that,
Oh, I think, yeah, it should come to some,
I think so, yeah,
somebody of
yeah,
community
some
members.
sort of like.
Yeah.
Well, we probably wouldn't record it, right? I mean, then there's some kind of privacy thing.
yeah,
Generally, it's a fairly open public process.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're using people's money.
Yeah.
It should be more open.
Yeah, right, so I think that the housing trust fund ordinance. Authorizes the manager to act as like the fund manager, so I think that he would be able, but I'd have to talk to Eric about this. I think he could make decisions about that pot of money, just like any other part of the town budget. Yeah, but. We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right,
That's great. Cool. Thank you very much for all that.
sure.
Yeah, alrighty. Well, looks like we're actually as scheduled our other business already. Yeah, did you want to talk about any of the upcoming meetings or? Well, we talked about moving on to middle of the month to accommodate Amy.
Yeah, so I'll check back with her and see if we can reschedule it and then, it would be like the middle of the month for some upcoming. I'm not sure when she'll be able to come back. I know she was dealing with some family stuff that caused her to miss that meeting, so.
Is there some, I mean, they have a lot of employees, is there somebody else that she might suggest?
Maybe someone else, like maybe Chris Donnelly or something, but she seemed pretty eager. I know she wanted to meet with you all, but we'll see. I'll get back to her and see what we can do.
Okay.
It'd be good to get that.
I'm doing some retirement traveling in September.
She's getting onto it. She's
So
getting onto it.
I did say the first Wednesday, so I can keep doing here, but
Oh.
I've gone, but anyway, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll watch the recording. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
it may not be. That's it, so.
Yeah, okay. Great. Well, anything anybody wants to talk about? Anything else? Well, I think nothing wrong with ending early. We can go watch the Olympics. I don't know about you guys, but I've been really enjoying
Yeah.
all that.
All right.
All right, well, we can adjourn.
Good
the
seeing
meeting.
you, Monica.
7:50.
I'm on.
Bye, Monica.